Hey guys, sorry it's so dark. I'm on my back porch because it's such a nice night out. But you don't really need to see me, you just need to kind of look at the screen, so it's fine anyway, and hear my voice. So you should be looking at this sheet. It's on the back of your Do Now. These are your notes you're looking at. It's labeled like this now, but it won't be labeled like that for long. When you get it, it won't say that. So, what should you be able to do by the end of this video? So what you need to be able to do by the end of this video is identify the different ways that a text can be structured. There's going to be 6 ways, and you're going to have to be able to think through why an author might choose to use one of those ways. Why one type of way might work better in some situations for some nonfiction, and why other types of organization might work better for different types. Okay, so you're trying to identify the different types, and you're trying to figure out why they're choosing that specific type. Okay, so here's our different types of text features, and you'll fill in the definition and the examples. So let's start with the first one. So our first one is sequence of events. Our definition is information or arguments that are constructed in a chain. Okay, so think of this. You don't have to write down that definition. If you want to write down what I say instead for any of these, feel free to do that. Sequence of events is just saying the order that it happens. Think of it like a timeline. First this happened, then this happened, then this happened, and finally this happened. Okay. So some examples: recipes. First put in a teaspoon of sugar, then put in water, then put in 2 eggs. Right? It matters the order. Directions for a manual for how to put something together, like from IKEA. Steps to follow. That's all going to be sequence of events. The second type is compare-contrast. So this is where you're comparing similarities and differences between 2 things. So think of like a lot of what you guys like to argue about. Who's better, Kyrie Irving or Stephen Curry? Who's the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan or LeBron James, right? Comparing and contrasting. Well, they have these strengths but these weaknesses. A lot of times advertisements too will be like that, where it's saying like, try this product instead of this. It has this advantage but this disadvantage. The next type is description. This is going to be where you're trying to explain something and give a lot of specific details. Okay? This is where you're trying to create a picture for the reader to actually get an idea of what you're showing them. So some examples: information sheets where you're showing them about like a car or a house, where you're describing it to them in really specific detail. Articles on things like a vacation, or something for an employee manual that tells you policies, right? Describing what's acceptable, what's not. Think of like a handbook for Live for Life. What are you allowed to do? What are you not allowed to do? It describes it. Next type is cause and effect. So this is basically writing as something happens, and because this happens, there's an effect that happens. So in your own life, think of it like this. Cause, you punch somebody. What's the effect? You get suspended. Cause and effect. So reasons that you might do this type of writing. That's not a great example. The first one. That's not a great one. Warning labels naming possible side effects of using a product. That's good. So let's say, for example, you take Benadryl. Cause, you take Benadryl. Effect, possible negative side effects. You get sleepy, you get drowsy, right? So that's going to be written, if you look at the back of the bottle, it's going to be written as cause and effect. Okay. The next one is problem solution. So it's similar to cause and effect, but it's always going to be a problem that it presents. So it says, presents a problem and several possible solutions. So let's think of an example. It could be something like problem. Too many kids getting suspended. Solution. You could say better teachers. You could say less strict consequences. You could say more creative punishments besides just suspension, right? So it's you give one problem and a couple of different solutions. Okay, the final type that is not on here but you will need to know is question and answer, and we're actually going to look at an example of this today. One of the articles you look at. This is going to be primarily when you're looking at interviews. Okay, if you interview the author, like at the back of the Outsiders book, or if you're doing some other type of interview with a celebrity or something like that, it's going to be question and answer. The interviewer will ask the question. The person, usually a celebrity or somebody famous that you care about their answer, will be giving the answer. Okay, so definition is just pretty simple. It's one side asking a short question, the other side giving kind of a long, more detailed answer. Okay, and that's the question and answer format. Okay, so now you're actually going to be looking at some specific types, thinking about how the author organized it, and more importantly, our daily objective is why the author organized it like this. Because remember, we're trying to think not just of what is the central idea, but we're trying to think of how it develops. And one way it develops is by how the author chooses to organize it. Okay, so that's why this is our daily objective for today. Hopefully you finished this. Let me know when you are done, and you should be on to the next step in your Google Classroom directions.